set up. Make sure you are alone with your target. If you
We got a winner. I said we got a winner. We got a winner.
In today's video, you will learn how to play with the Fw190 from 3.0 to 6.3. Before we start, you need to understand that the Fw is a very unique plane and by no means meta. It has his places it's good at, but it's a all-rounder. It's not a fighter/bomber/interceptor but a multi-role aircraft. Its strengths are good firepower, excellent roll rate, good flaps, good survivability, good ground strike options. Its flaws are bad gun velocity, average engine power for an energy fighter, bad turn rate, strong overheating problems you can't fix with manual engine controls, average climb rate, very unstable cause of the high roll rate. The Fw190 started development 1937 and the first prototype started 1939. The plane had really good maneuverability and a strong engine for its time. But cause of this high-tech engine the plane wasn't ready for war till 1941 and saw its first combat above the English Channel. When it engaged Allied fighters for the first time it instantly got the name of the Butcher Bird. It got that name cause of its heavy armament of 4x20mm that gave Allied fighters a hard time surviving encounters with this plane. The strong engine could let it perform as a dive bomber, interceptor or air superiority fighter. Allied bombers had to stop bombing campaigns because of the many losses caused of this plane. However, after the P-51 Mustang got into service, the Fw190 got finally in competitive foe and got problems to keep up with them. In order to have a chance, the Fw got in strong update in form of the Dora version, making it really similar to the P-51. The engine got even more complicated and swapped to an liquid-cooled system and later models got a high-altitude performance upgrade, letting it perform at extreme altitudes. Simply the fact that the Royal Air Force had to invent the Spitfire Mk9 to deal with this version shows how much of a threat the plane was, and that's why the Fw is seen as the best German fighter plane of World War II. At the start of the game you want to climb between 15 and 18 degrees. Watch out cause the early Fw get worse at mid and high altitude. From there you can dive on your target and make quick work out of them. You don't have the speed of the P-51 or the turn rate of the Spitfire. That means once you are in a bad situation, you need to play defensive or go to your team. This plane is all about positioning and opportunity. If you see someone below you going towards you, you can make energy traps like the hammerhead. You will see that very often in this video. The energy retention is really good, because you don't turn well. Combined with the great landing flaps and you can do great but hard stall maneuvers. Hit and run or boom and zoom maneuvers are your best friend. You don't want to fight anyone with the same or higher speed. In this plane you won't fair fights. When fighting bombers or other gunners, you want to shoot one burst and make a quick roll and repeat that till the target is down. That makes it very hard for the gunner to hit you. For the belts, use tracers on the machine guns. They are armor-piercing and make the most damage. Besides that, spamming them makes your opponent nervous, and in head-ons, they are more likely to dodge instead of shooting you. For the FF/M cannons, use the air target belt for air battles and the stealth belt for ground RB. You will see why later in the video. The A4 version changes 2x7mm with 2x20mm NG-151. That means you have the best armament of this tier for a fighter. With the extra firepower, you can be more aggressive, but that doesn't mean you go full committed into the enemy. You can do rolls to throw the aim of the enemy off and dodge close shots. You have a lot of firepower, but not a lot of range. Because of the drag and velocity of the German guns, your ballistics are the worst after the Japanese. Don't use the 20mm further than 1 kilometer range. Besides that, you have a slightly worse performance than the 3.0 version. Stat-wise, you get outperformed by every other fighter at this BR. That's why you need to know what you get into before playing air matches. The best use for the next Fw190 will be in ground RB, because the performance will stay the same. The only difference is that you get more guns/bombs. The A5 version had minor improvements in real life, but in-game it's pretty much the same plane than the A4 version. With the difference that you now have access to the Bakey missile that can kill medium tanks like the T-34 with a direct hit. In practice, you want to only shoot them at weak armored targets like AAs or open-top vehicles. The launcher also drops after both missiles are used. Your playstyle in air RB should be the one of an interceptor, while for ground RB, as in strike aircraft. Of course you can kill enemies that stall themselves or who attack friendlies, but you won't have good chances in a normal 1v1. The A5/U14 version is just the torpedo version, and not advised to be used in any other mode than naval. The A5/U2 version is meant for night ground attacks and loses half its firepower. For the lose in weight, you can have heavy bombs like in 500 kilograms one now. The performance is the same like before. The A5/U12 version is still the same plane, but you can now add 4 extra 20mm as gun pods. That means you have 6x20mm cannons, that impacts your performance by a lot. The A8 version has no differences from the A4, but it counts as interceptor. That means you get an air spawn in air RB, which gives you the chance to be above all other enemies. But don't forget that your performance is the same as the 3.0 version, just with more guns. Like the A7M2 in the last guide, this line gets 200% better with its next version. The Dora, or in short D-line, was made to counter newer Allied fighters, like the Fw190 that escorted the bombers. With the D9, you get a huge improvement on the airframe and the engine. Now you have a mix of air cooling and water cooling, what makes overheating less of a problem. With the new design, you can finally outspeed pretty much every plane you face. You lose 2x20mm in the wings, but you get 2x13mm in the nose of the plane. For them you get many good belt options. If your aim is okay and you have no problem with the ballistics of the guns, go for the IAI or stealth belt. If you struggle with hitting your target, go for the default belt. It has a mix of armor-piercing and IAI bullets that can kill the enemy just as fast than the 20mm. Don't go for the air target belt, cause incendiary without armor-piercing can be against targets with armored fuel tanks just useless. The D12 version has a slightly weaker engine, but allows you to climb to extreme alts without your performance getting worse. It also changes the 2x13mm to 1x30mm inside your engine. You want to take this plane to air RB and the D9 to ground RB cause of the 5% more horsepower. The engine in general is a turbocharger. That means that your performance won't suffer due to gear changes. I will get in more details about that topic in the next guide. I have to warn you that you can slash will be part of the Ju-288 spam at 6.0. That means you will face enemies that can outperform you. In that case, take your time and get one enemy after another. Only take fights that you know you can end before someone else gets involved. When you have enemies that camp your airfield, just land and go to the next game. It's not a shame to leave a battle that you can't win. The D13 is identical to the D12, but it has 1x20mm instead of the 30mm. The Fw190C was a mix of the A and D models and had a very different design. In the end it got pushed to the side for the superior Dora design. I wouldn't recommend beginners to start with the Fw190, cause it's all about positioning and waiting for the right moment. Is the Fw190 worse than the P51? I would say performance-wise till the D9 yes. From there they are really equal. If you know how to use the P51, you know how to play the later Focke-Wulfs. The F8 is the strike version of the A8. It has worse performance than the other Focke-Wulfs, but it can carry 4x50 kg bombs and 1x1000 kg bomb at the same time. It also can carry 14 heat missiles that pen 180mm of armor. The 30mm gun pods have special armor-piercing rounds that can pen light armored targets with no problem. I recommend to use the bombs, cause they don't depend on the enemy and give you the lowest time on target. Like said earlier, you should use stealth or the armored target belt for ground. If you can pen vehicles, your armor-piercing shells will explode inside the enemy, making it lethal and very effective. Having both the D9 and the F8 in the same 5.3 or 5.7 deck is very good. With both of them, you can secure the air and bomb ground targets. Being universal is exactly why the Focke-Wulf 190 is a great plane. It's maybe not the best fighter, but if you use its strengths, it's a great all-rounder. Or more like a jack of all trades, but master of none. We ain't over yet. There are 2 more planes I want to talk about. The Doris series was able to perform at 9,000 meters, but wasn't very maneuverable at this high alts, due to its short wingspan. With the situation getting worse and worse, cause of the high-altitude bombing of the Allies, the Focke-Wulf designer had the job to design an upgrade, based on the airframe of the D9. The Fw190 project got through and was fast the best German fighter in the air. It had the engine of the D12, but due to its wide wing, its maneuverability increased drastically. Its energy retention also was the best of all planes to this time. Its speed was to this time unseen and even let the older P-51 models in the dust. In-game you also count as interceptor, giving you an extra airspawn. That means that nothing will be above you and you can engage any enemy you want. Bombers have no chance, and fighters have a hard time dealing with you as well. The only real threat are jets, the P-51H, Yak-3U and late Spitfires like the Mk-22 and 24. Besides that, you shouldn't have any problem whatsoever dealing with enemies at your BR. The C version gets a stronger engine and 2 extra 20mm cannons, but that is total overkill, and with the BR changed to 6.3, I don't recommend using this plane over the H version.
I'm scared to get close, I hate being alone. I long for that feeling to not feel at all. The higher I get, the lower I'll sink. I can't drown my demons, they know how to swim. I'm scared to get close and I hate being alone. I long for that feeling to not feel at all. The higher I get, the lower I'll sink. I can't drown my demons, they know how to swim. I'm scared to get close and I hate being alone. I long for that feeling to not feel at all. The higher I get, the lower I'll sink. I can't drown my demons, they know how to swim.
Making this video was really fun, but took longer than all the other videos on my channel. I just hope that this guide could help you and that you want head on the first thing you see, cause you think just cause you outgun everyone, you can play brain dead. Write in the comments what plane should be next, cause I have no idea what I will take yet. See you in the next video.